What dude, it's so weird coming from doing our podcast together with you, and then coming here and like, dude, I'll have like, oh shit, dude, I really want to hear you talk about this, and all of a sudden you say some shit, blow my mind. So I don't know how people can listen to this, but dude, I wanted to ask you. I don't know what a nihilist is.
So very simply, here's my scope, how I look at it. I believe that there's really no purpose to life, right? Other than to live in the moment and be who you want to be. That's it. And people will leverage, well, the path of destiny or this or that, but it's really simply just understanding like there's no purpose. I've had to force myself into creating purpose. So it took me a moment to answer that question because I really had to put some thought into it. I believe this comes from me, from my childhood, right? All the abuse, all the you don't matter, you're not good enough, you're a loser. My own parents told me this shit. The being homeless, the stealing food to survive, I lived by myself at one point in an abandoned house for 6 weeks. I was 11, dude, right? And so I had massive battle with God. I mean, I think him and I are still in war right now as we speak. And I've learned to kind of, for me, it was be a good person became kind of the crux of my life when I hit rock bottom at 26. It's like, just be a good person to the best of my ability. Knowing that even though I have these big goals, here, I'll go a little bit deeper into it. I have huge goals in my life. Like, I want to be a multiple-time New York Times best-selling author. I want to have the #1 mental health podcast in the world. I want to buy a beautiful giant lake house and have a wife and kids and an Audi R8 Spider. And these are the things that are on my like vision board. And I know with certainty that in 100 years, no one's going to know who I am. It's like, name your great-great-grandma. Name your grandma, for that matter, for some people. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone in this country, again, what I love about the opportunity that's in front of you in America is you can go and build something gigantic. And people are like, legacy, legacy, legacy. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, I understand why people want legacy. But when you're dead, like, it doesn't matter, man. And people leverage and they waste so much of their life trying to build something that eventually doesn't serve any purpose. Like, I think about, like, the title of my first book is called Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma. We've sold tens of thousands of copies of that book. Every single publisher that I reached out to, every single agent that I spoke with, all told me no one's going to want to read this book because of the title. I said, okay, cool, whatever. I'm going to do it myself. We've sold tens of thousands of copies. I have no agent. We built a publishing house within the company, right? I hope for a reality that once I'm dead and gone, people will pick up that book and look at it and go, this is stupid. Why would a kid need, like, what? I don't know, what's childhood trauma, right? And so even that points to this idea that on a long enough timeline, even the work I do now probably won't actually matter. Mm-hmm. And that's not me being dismissive of the fact of impact and creating change in the world. It's just simply saying, I'm not leveraging this idea that I'm more important than the moment that I'm in. That's all it is. And I think a lot of people hype their importance into this idea that they are grandiose, like beyond all measure. Like, there's some people in the media right now, I won't name any names, but they think they're the greatest thing on planet Earth. And I'm like, bro, we all shit our pants sometimes.
Have you ever shit your pants?
Of course, dude.
Like, literally shit your pants?
Yeah, I mean, you've been a baby.
A shart here and there too. Who's counting?
It's the human experience, bro.
Dude, what is Unbroken and what's the origin of it?
So, the famous question I've asked hundreds of people on the podcast, yourself included, is what does it mean to think unbroken? And the reason that I only give them the question on the podcast and not before is because I want it to feel very natural. I want whatever their truth is to reflect that. people will give a completely different definition based on where they are in their life. And I'll even have people like email me after they've been on the show and they'll say things like, oh, I had this idea I wish I would have said. And I'm like, well, I didn't ask you because I wanted your truth in the moment, right? Because sometimes we'll create a lot of context that I think can sway us back and forth because we go, that's going to sound good on a podcast. So I'm laying in bed one night like 7 years ago. And I had just gotten in a fight with this girl I was seeing, not like a physical fight, not even a yelling fight, just a disagreement fight. And she had not yet started doing the work. And she texts me this like diatribe, just being a jerk. I'm like, fine, whatever. And then she goes, you know what? You're broken. All the shit you're doing is pointless. I don't even know why you bother. And that night I couldn't sleep. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just started thinking about all of the times someone in my life was like, you're broken. My mom, my community, my teachers, girls I dated in high school, they're like, you're broken. And I was like, this doesn't feel true. Like it just didn't. And I'm up and it's like this weird light bulb moment where I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not what I believe. That's not what I think. I never had intentions of creating Think Unbroken, speaking on stages, writing books, having the podcast. I was cool, man. I was running a marketing department. I was a VP at a company. I'd sold off another company that I had started. I was cool. But then I felt this, call it divine intervention, if you will. I feel like it was this moment of clarity where I was like, I know what I'm supposed to do with all this suffering. I think constantly about this notion of turn your breakdowns into breakthroughs, transform your trauma into triumph, be the hero of your own story. And I felt really great about where my life was. I mean, I was still doing the work. I'm still doing the work. Don't get it twisted. I fuck up all the time. Like I'm still trying to figure my shit out. But I was like, maybe I can help some other people. And that's where it began. It was just like, I just want to be of service. That's it. I didn't expect billboards in New York City and to be a best-selling author and be on awesome podcasts like this. That wasn't the plan. It was just help people.
Thanks for checking out this short clip from the full podcast I did. If you want to see another clip, go ahead and click the link right here. Or if you want to see the full podcast, you can click the link right here and check it out.